Oh, what quarantine has done to me. So I've been reading a lot and I want to share these books with you, and I'm going to sit these down now. Anyway, I have read a lot during April. I had given myself an interesting challenge. So my April challenge was to read books that I wouldn't normally pick up. I have a lot of books on my shelves that I bought years and years ago, and they're no longer my reading taste, not something I would enjoy, but I don't like getting rid of books without giving them a try, because sometimes I am surprised and I actually like something that I didn't think I would. So we're gonna get into all these books. Some of these I read because I thought I would like them, but a huge majority are ones I picked up and I was like, no, I'm not gonna like this. And then some of them I liked and some of them I didn't. So let's get into it. So I picked up The Right and the Real, which was a cover by, obviously, look at that cover, but this was about a cult. I wasn't expecting that. I had no idea what this was about. I thought maybe it would be like a spy or something. No, it's about a cult. This young girl and her father get sucked into this cult, and her father is like really invested in this cult, and she doesn't believe in this church, and she comes to the age where they have to, you have to be like, yes, I agree, like, sign my life over, you know? And she denies them. She says, no, like, I don't want to be a part of this. And so the church kicks her out and makes the father kick her out of the house as well. So she's this young teenage girl who just got kicked out of her house, doesn't have any family to go to. And so she has to find a way to live on her own, live out of her car, live at this dingy apartment. She's too scared to tell her friends what's happening, you know. So her father has to choose between how far is he willing to go for this church and how far is he willing to go for his daughter. This is a young adult book, so it didn't go real deep. I feel like it could have been a lot better if they broke it down more and got a little bit more emotionally invested. But it was good. I enjoyed reading about this. I've never read a book about a cult before, so it was really interesting to me. Next, we have An Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. This was good, but I preferred her other book, A Sorcery of Thorns. Was it Thorns? A Sorcery of Thorns, I think is what it was, not Thrones. Anyway, that one was a 5 out of 5. I highly recommend it. I was really invested in that story. This one was good, but it wasn't as great. And I hate comparing books of other authors' books to each other, but like I had such high hopes because that was so good. Anyway, this deals with a mortal girl, and this is a fairy world. This is a fantasy book, so she's in a fairy world and there's mortals, but mortals are looked at as like bleh, you know. Fairy are much better and they live forever, whatever, but mortals are good for their, what do they call them in this? I don't know what it's called. Anything that a mortal would make. Basically, like if you painted or if you cooked or something like that, if you sewed, those are things that fairy can't do. But they love to buy that stuff from mortals. They find it fascinating, but they can't do it themselves. Anyway, this prince comes along and gets his portrait painted by our female main character, and she does something different to his portrait, and his throne is at risk because of what she does to this portrait. So he's really infuriated, goes to her, marches her, and says he's going to take her and they're going to have a trial, and, you know, she's going to be killed because of what she did to this painting. But on the way through this adventure from wherever she is to his court, they come along different adventures and different obstacles, and they fall in love. It was all right. Okay, moving on. I was really invested with this book until the end. So this is The Daughter of Deep Silence by Carrie Ryan. I bought a second copy of this book. I do that all the time. I think I found 3 different books that I have each a different copy of just this month by going through my shelves. Anyway, I picked this up because I loved this cover. Little did I know that I had 2 copies of it. So this is about a teenage girl who is on like this tour ship, like a cruise, and it gets attacked by men and guns, and these men kill everyone on board. She and this one girl, they're the only ones that escape, and they are at sea for days. And then her best friend dies while they're still at sea, and she gets rescued. So she takes on her best friend's identity and plans revenge for years. So this takes place like 4 years later, and she wants to get revenge because 2 other people survived this attack, but they claim that it wasn't attacked and that the ship went down like a Titanic. Like it was just some freak accident. This wave came along, and she doesn't know why they lied about it. She thinks they are behind the attack. And so the reason that she doesn't come out with the truth is because our liars in this book is the senator and his son. So nobody's going to believe this random 14-year-old girl versus the senator and his son. So she takes on her plan of revenge. So the whole story was like, yes, I love revenge stories. But the ending, I was like, such a letdown to me. But that's all we're going to say about this book. That's all we're going to say. Oh, why are my eyes watery? Okay, moving on. I read this by accident. So what happened was these books somehow got their coverage switched. So I thought I was reading this. I was really reading this book. Anyway, this was really good. Unfortunately, it's a series and I don't have the other books. So hopefully when the library opens back up, I might be able to get them. But anyway, it's about a witch and she has powers. And because she's a witch, obviously. Anyway, her and her sisters are all witches, and there is a prophecy about 3 sister witches that are gonna pretty much take over. They're either gonna be like the start of a rebellion, or they're gonna bring like the end of the world or something like that. I don't know. There's some prophecy. And so the Brotherhood, or like kind of like the government, is trying to hunt down all these witches and kill them, and really kill anyone that they think would be the 3 sisters. So even if there is no evidence that any of these girls had committed any type of witchcraft, if they were 3 sisters, they were like, we're gonna get you because we don't want this prophecy to come true. Anyway, it was super good, and I didn't think I would like something like this, but I did. Moving on to another one I did not think I would like. Ooh, look at that cover. Anyway, it's called Second Chance Boyfriend. So I was ready for like some cheating or some like gross contemporary YA novel. This is not YA, by the way. This is adult. There is a lot of steam in this book. So if that's something that you don't like, don't read this. I liked it. There was a lot of deep elements in this. Like there's molestation in this. The girl's mom is pretty much, I think, a drug addict maybe? No, like she's very neglectful to her and her brother, and so she has to pay all the bills and take care of her brother. And their mom is just nuts, and she has all of this other stuff going on in her life. So they find each other, they connect, and happily ever after, you know? Moving on, I have Hold Me Like a Breath. This is another one that I didn't think I was gonna like. It was okay. So I assumed this was gonna be another YA contemporary romance. This is not what that is. This deals with a young girl who is very sick. Like she has some kind of like blood disease or something. I don't know. She's very fragile. Like if you touch her, she bruises. And so it's very, very hard life, I guess. Anyway, it deals with her, and then her family is part of like this crime family. They do black market trade in organs. So there's a bunch of different families that have black market trade in organs, and they kind of feud sometimes. And then her family gets attacked, and she survives, and she is trying to figure out who did this and why, and how is she going to keep herself safe. I thought I would like this one. It is very short, and it's a scholastic book, so this is like middle school YA. Anyway, I didn't think it was great. I would have liked it better if it was an adult novel because I feel like we would have got more insight and it would have been a longer book. Anyway, this is called The Girl I Used to Be by April Henry. This deals with her family getting murdered when she was a child, and she survives. She was left at a Walmart because the killer didn't want to kill a child, I guess. Anyway, her family is killed, and then she bounces around different houses. I think she gets put in foster care and bounces around and changes her name. Anyway, she comes back years later to figure out what happened, like who killed her family. And so she gets caught up in that and some stuff goes down. This one I didn't have high hopes for. I only read this one because I thought I was reading it to begin with and switched it with Born Wicked or whatever. Anyway, I didn't like this. The synopsis is much better than what the book is. Anyway, this girl is found dead in this small town. Nobody knows who this girl is. Nobody can identify her, but she was beaten. And so a different girl kind of takes interest in this case and wants to know what happened, who did it, why. So she kind of delves into it, and you get both perspectives of the living girl and the dead girl and what went down. And I know it could have been so much better. It just didn't live up to my expectations, I guess. Here's another one I read because I thought I wouldn't like it, and I was correct. This is my very first Stephen King novel. I picked the shortest Stephen King book I could ever find. It's called The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Ooh, I didn't like this, and I didn't feel like most of his stuff is horror stuff. This was more like a thriller to me with like very light horror aspect. So it's about this 9-year-old girl who goes on this hike with her mom and her brother, and she ends up getting lost. And so she spends days in these woods just walking and trying to find out how to survive and how to get out of these woods. How do I get rescued? And all the while she feels like she's being followed by this creature, and she finds some deer ripped apart by like nothing an animal could do. And so she gets really scared, and at the end of this book she kind of has a showdown with this creature. Most of it was just her trying to survive in the wilderness. She has a lot of perseverance for a 9-year-old girl. I would not have been as strong as this 9-year-old girl was. But I just didn't like it that much, and I didn't feel like there was much to it. It felt more contemporary than anything. Okay, the last novel that I completed is called The Rules for Disappearing by Ashley Elston. So apparently this is a series. I'm not going to continue on with this series. I got this from Dollar Tree. It was okay. So her family is in witness protection, and she has to continually move and change names and change the background story of her life. And all the while, like, her mom is becoming an alcoholic because she can't handle it. Her dad is keeping secrets, and her sister, she has to take care of her younger sister. So she is trying to figure out why they're in witness protection program. She doesn't know why, and her dad won't tell her. Her mom won't tell her. It's this big secret. And when she finally finds out, it kind of changes everything. Okay, moving on to the 4 books that I attempted to read, and then I was like, nah, not for me. So, first we have The Probability of Miracles by Wendy Wonder. I picked this up because this cover is beautiful. I read 144 pages, and then I was like, this is not for me. This is also one that I accidentally bought a second copy to because they had different covers. Anyway, this is about a young girl who has cancer, and her family is desperate to find anything to help save her. And so they go to this town, on this road trip to this town, to find some miracle worker. And that's really all I got for you. I didn't like the writing or the whimsical like aspect to it, so I wasn't invested. Moving on, I picked this up because I also didn't think I would like this, and I was right. It's called it's Sarah Wilson. I don't know how you say this last name up here. Anyway, this is about a girl who has like visions and nightmares, and so her family thinks that, you know, maybe something's wrong with her, and they send her to a mental institution where she finds and connects with this group of kids, And I don't know, there's some fantasy aspect to this. I didn't understand it. The writing was like really to me. And so I gave it up. I read, let's see, how much did I read of this? 224 pages, and I couldn't honestly tell you what was going on. Okay, this one I read like 10 pages of. Let's see. Yeah, I read 14 pages, and then I was like, this is not going to happen. So this is called The Irish Healer by Nancy Harriman. Now, if you're into historical fiction, contemporary romance, this might be for you. I hate both those genres, so it's not for me. So this deals with a young woman who is a healer, and a kid accidentally dies on her watch. So she kind of takes away and goes to work somewhere else and finds this other guy, and I think they fall in love or something. I only read 14 pages, and I just didn't like it. So I think I stopped like the second they met, and I was like, no. Okay, the last one I have is Getting the Girl by Marcus Zuzak. I just don't like his writing. I think this is the third book I've tried to read from him. I got to 26 pages, and I was like, not for me. I can't even tell you what this is about. Like, there's two brothers. His brother is dating this one girl, and the other brother likes this girl, I think. And I think he's trying to, like, steal the girlfriend from his brother. I think that's what this is about. But, like, not for me. Not for me. No thank you. So, this is everything I read this month. And I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. And if you want to share what you read down below, or if you read any of these books and you want to tell me what you thought about them, I would love to hear some feedback. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.